Tony, no, Brian. Oh, good. Your personal reading and your Alright, this one one's getting note. Morning, guys. Morning. All right, we'll wait for a couple people to grab notebooks. Check this here. And we're actually going to get started with a little bit of vocabulary today. So, you'll take a look at the board. Have someone kind of read what's up there out loud. Faith, go for it.
Based on the sentence below, what connotations do these words have and what do they think they mean? Whatever the rest
Go for it.
What is that word?
Divulge.
Divulge?
Uh-huh.
A true friend will never divulge your secrets. More rose, the elderly man seen in Rose sitting on the bench all alone. Think how could these words relate to the essential question of the scene?
Perfect. Okay. So go ahead and take a minute to just look at those two example sentences that Faith just read. Kind of write in your notebook, what do you think those two vocab words might mean based on how they use it? Okay. Give you a minute to kind of get yourself settled and take care of that. Give you another 30 seconds just to get an idea. Don't worry if you're wrong. This is just kind of to look at the word, the way it's being used in a sentence, and try to gauge, what do we think that word might mean? Okay. Guess who's up first? Ross.
All right.
Looking at that first one, what are you thinking?
Maybe it means that your friends will give up on you, but the second one, you're like by yourself. Maybe you have no friends, or your friends aren't supporting you.
Okay, so you're thinking the first word, it sounds like you were saying, is a little more positive, and the second one's a little more negative in some way, a little lonely. Okay, good. Let's see what some other people think. Go for it. Emma.
For the first one, like, a friend will never reveal your secrets.
Okay, good.
And then for the second one, the man seemed lonely sitting on the bench. Like he wasn't with anyone, so.
Okay, and what in the sentence really stood out as far as the words in that second sentence really stood out to you to make you guys think that that second word's kind of a little more negative? Claudia?
Like all alone.
Yeah, the whole all alone at the end is it's seeming to pop out. So let's take a look at what the definitions of these words actually are. You guys did a really nice job. And you're going to want to record these in your unit syllabus so you have a record of those for when we have our assessment at the end. So divulge is a verb meaning to reveal something private, secret, or previously unknown. How many of you divulged some piece of information to your friends this morning? Some of you are like, never happens in middle school. What are you talking about? So that should be on the back of your word notes. Number 13. Blurry maybe from where you're sitting, but what do you notice in that comic that kind of shows the meaning of the word? Melissa?
That guy's like telling the other guy a secret, and the guy's like, oh.
Yeah. Okay, what kind of reaction does his face have?
It's like surprise.
Kind of like surprise, so it must have been some juicy secret, right? Because you can tell he has kind of a reaction to it. Good. Everyone doing okay? I see pencil still. I'll wait a second. Okay. Morose. You guys are right on target with this one. An adjective, and it describes being gloomy or sad. So in that sentence, Claudia had picked out that phrase, all alone. Okay? Some people enjoy being all alone, but in this case, kind of, you could tell from the impression of the way the sentence was written that, oh, this was kind of meant to be a little more gloomy or sad. You kind of felt bad for him. Maybe you had empathy, a little bit of empathy for him. Okay. Let's see. So, with the next quick activity, okay, I'm going to have you kind of match up those two words with the 5 sentences that are up here. So, maybe I'll shed a light just in case there's a little bit of glare. You guys see? Does this help? Is that better? Okay. Go ahead and take 2 minutes. You can discuss with your groups if you're feeling uncertain about one of these words, but go ahead, out of those 5 sentences, you're going to want to see where all those words kind of match up. You don't have to copy the sentences down, but you could put, number 1 is whatever you think. That'll be just fine. All right, let's start sharing some answers here. So we left off with Emma. When do you want to pick your next person? Carissa, I can't wait to tell you. Do you think that's more divulge or morose? Divulge, good. Jacob, I just want to stay in bed all day. Morose, okay. Gloomy or sad. How many of you feel like that? this morning? Monday was a good day to be kind of at home. It was kind of that, cloudy, snowy weather. Good. Tommy, number 3. He's been really down since he found out his family was moving. Morose. Why would he be morose about that? Yeah, probably leaving things that, are familiar to him. It's uncomfortable. Jamie H. is not here. Tony.
Divulge.
Okay, divulge. I've never told anyone this. Good, that has to do with divulge. Yes, Selena, do you have a question or did you want to share?
Oh, I have a question.
Sure.
What about if she were happy a little bit?
She could be. You're right. The 2 choices you have below, though, would divulge have anything to do with that term? But would you use, morose for something if you were excited about moving to a new place? Probably not, especially if that new place was like some sunny, warm place like Florida. You wouldn't be too upset about that, right?
No,
Okay.
I'd still be upset.
You'd still be upset. Yeah, I can imagine. Yeah, that's true. Carly, last one. She just needs a shoulder to cry on. Morose. Good. Are there any questions about any of those that are up there? Hi. Good. You guys did a nice job. We are going to move on to word parts this morning, and you're going to be able to kind of work with a partner if you choose. Can I have someone kind of read the directions out loud for this activity? You've done one of these before. Melissa?
Group the following words into 3 different categories. Make sure you can explain why you chose to put certain groups of words together. Words can be used in multiple categories.
Okay, we've done this before. Am I expecting that you know every single word up there and its definition?
No.
How many of you notice words up there that you've never seen or used before in your life? I would expect that. There's some words up there that I'm not sure I've used before. So don't worry if you're not 100% sure on what each word means, but what does the word part for this week mean? What should you have in the back of your mind? Juror, juris, judish, and just. What does it mean? Oh, you can refer to your notes. It's okay.
Judge, oath.
Judge or oath. That helps Jamie out because he wasn't here yesterday, so he needs to know that. So to judge or oath. Okay? 2 definitions. So you are going to have about 5 minutes. I'll put the timer on the iPad to either work on your own or work with a partner around the room, kind of get moving, and make those categories of where you would group the words. And kind of like it was read already, words can be used in multiple categories. So if you don't use all the words, that's okay. If you use words in multiple places, that's fine. Okay, but 3 different categories of how you would group these words, and then we'll have a few people share out. Sound good? Okay, go ahead. You can pick a different spot. That's fine.
Yeah, like, no, there's the people
You'd also just say like the third one would be like judges in the middle. The priest.
Okay. But just read it. It could be something.
judicial job is the branch of government. Juris.
Jury's like
Judicial and juris.
Yeah. Yeah, he's the one who does what? Hammers the gavel. Yeah. So what is the jury's responsibility? Because as citizens of the United States, we have to become jury members potentially when we get older. Like we have jury duty. Our parents have jury duty.
What is juris? Well, that's only if you would. Or if you have a connection.
Well, what do you think that would be like a conflict of interest?
I just feel like
Being the jury judge, especially when it's babies.
Cause like if you, but like if you like just like use a person, like
We could do cards or
everything.
Yeah.
courts.
The judge, if there was a situation
The court of judge. Then we would just do all of those. No, not all of them.
So I don't know what the second one is.
Alright, so what are some words you're going That's one way to hit it.
If we get called to do the job, that's a solid category.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, however you want to organize it, that's fine. You might not.
That's like, I think,
That's okay. That's hard, you know, around all of Yes or no? Okay. What's your third category?
blank. If you think of words we don't know.
Yeah.
Because I don't know what the second one is.
The second word jurisprudence, yeah, that's probably one I have not used in my regular daily language, right? What's your guess as far as what it might be?
Under the assumption, jury.
Okay. Is that juror? J-bar, and then you just like
Yeah, this would be cool. It's not really a job.
kind of like I was telling the other group there too, when you have a jury, they're kind of deciding the guilt of the offender, right? So you have a jury do like something as the U.S. says it, you have that responsibility. What do you think it looks like? What does it sound like you're getting called in, so let's say I got a notice in the mail and said I had jury. That means I'd have to take off work because I'd have to go down there because that's kind of one of our obligations as a citizen. And they have to pick you for their trial, so it might be a specific trial, and you have to decide if they want you to kind of decide the thing.
What if they only pick you, like, if you have a connection with the crime?
What do you think?
Probably.
Probably yes or probably no. If you had a connection to the crime, do you think you'd be a fair like judge of who did it, or do you think you'd be called on like the witness stand? Probably. They probably would use you because the defense might not like you. They think that person's innocent. They aren't really. You know. If they find you a part of it. I mean, that'd be kind of a twist. You've been watching a lot of TV. Okay, about 10 seconds, guys.
If we get called to the job. Come on, Pen.
All right. Looks like some of you are finishing up, so I'll give you a couple seconds to just talk it out. We'll see what some of you had to say. There might be some repeats. Just FYI. All right, Jack, you're starting us off. Just share one category and a few of the words that you and your partners kind of came up with.
Items relating to the law, different judge, jury, justice.
Good, relating to the law. I saw quite a few groups have a similar category. So if you do get called to share, maybe share something different or interesting that no one else has kind of mentioned yet. Rachel.
We did court, which is judge, jury, prejudice, justice, and judicial.
Okay, good. Judicial. Giselle.
We did
Okay. Okay, good. Do a couple more. One more time. Ashley, you worked with her. What was your other category?
we did judge, like obviously the word judge is the judge, jury, and prejudice.
Okay, good. Did anyone have something that they thought was pretty creative, no one shared yet, that they would like to? Dan?
We said before all the ones that had food in it.
Oh, good. So which ones included all of that?
Prejudice, judge,
Prejudicial. Good. So having that other pre, that word part meaning before. Good. Melissa?
well, it's not category, but we put like judgment, like prejudice, and justice.
Where have you seen that word prejudice before? That could be for anybody, it doesn't have to be Melissa. Okay.
I was gonna share another category.
Okay, sure, we can go back to that question.
Okay, I put perspective. I put judge, jury, justify, prejudice, and prejudice. Does it kind of have to deal with someone judging another?
Yeah. Good. So it still connects to my question from before. Where have we seen that term prejudice before? Where have you heard it? I know you've heard it in school. I'm sure you have. But what makes you, like, what kind of jumps to your head when you think of that word prejudice?
Well, since jury before and judge means like over judging someone, if you have to put that together, it's like what?
You want some help?
Yeah. It's like judging all these like catches of things. It's like judging them before you even got to know them.
Yeah.
Yeah, judging people before you get to know them. That has happened over and over again, and we've talked about that. They're just examples in history and things of that nature where people have been judged based on something that, you know, either isn't right or, you know, before people got to know them. It happened in Seed Folks. If you think back to it, some of the characters were talking about how, you know, they treated someone really poorly, and then in the end, does anyone remember the specific story I'm talking about? I know that was so long ago. But in the end, they said, well, I didn't know. I didn't put like a name to a face. I didn't know you back then, so I treated you differently. Okay? So that's something to kind of think about. Good. You guys did a really nice job. Can I have person 1 go ahead and bring the notebooks back? And we'll kind of go through today's agenda and take a look at kind of the focus for today. Yeah, you can put the syllabus packets away too. Thank you for asking. Go ahead. Put that in a safe spot. Don't lose it since you want to keep it all quarter. Yes, Jim. Thank you. Anyone lose a packet? Alright, if you take a look up here, this is going to give you kind of a guide of what we're going to be doing today. Kind of working off of what we started in class yesterday. The biggest point that I want you to really pay attention to, and you'll notice this at the bottom of every single slide, is your focus for today. Using text evidence to support a thought or an opinion. So you're going to have a lot of conversation with your group members today, and a lot of you might jump in and say, well, I think this. That's perfect. I'm glad you're sharing your opinions on what we're reading, okay, and having that kind of dialogue with your peers. However, I want you to really think about challenging each other to really go into the text and prove what you've done. So just like we kind of worked on in geography a couple weeks ago when we had the energy debate. And you guys had to make sure, I know my class definitely had quite the debate, so I can speak to that. But you had to make sure that if you said something about the energy source you thought you should use, you had to back it up with facts. And I had people in my class who probably can attest to this, who if people didn't have concrete information behind what they were saying, they were called out on it, okay? In a respectful way. It's not like you're wrong, okay? Because that doesn't really get you anywhere. But that respectful, you know, I understand what you're trying to say, but maybe where did you find that? I didn't see that. Or, you know, what in the text told you that? Those are the kinds of conversations I kind of want to hear today as I kind of walk around the room, and Ms. Cassidy will be walking around as well. Okay, so we're going to start off with kind of a read aloud that all of us will do, and I'll ask you guys to kind of help me read through this. A little bit shorter of a read than yesterday, but it directly connects to what we did in the close read yesterday about Temple Grandin. Okay, so we're going to start with that. It's called When a Door Opens. You're going to notice a lot of references to doors. Even yesterday when we were reading, some of you picked up on that. Why does she keep talking about these doors? What does that mean? This is going to explain some of that. We're going to have a quick fan and pick discussion activity with that. We'll go through the roles again and how that goes because we haven't done that in a while. And then I'm going to give you some time to skim through that article that you guys took a look at yesterday for your close read, the No Girls Allowed article, just to reread and kind of refresh your memory on what it was that we kind of talked about. You had to do some annotations for today just on the key ideas. So we'll give you some time to refresh your memory and kind of reread through some of that. And then you're going to answer some discussion questions as a group today, okay? And then you might have noticed up here, you have a claim that throughout the class period, you might be thinking about, and that's why I kind of projected in a place where you could all see it, because at the end of the lesson, after you get through your group discussion, I want you to use both pieces of text to pick out specific quotes or evidence or information that would support that statement. So take a second to just actually read that statement. What do we notice about that statement, first of all? What is it asking us to do? Okay.
Look how she went through all that rejection to like get the acceptance of other, how she didn't quit and give up instead of mean words.
Good. Can anybody, and you don't have to share what it is, but can any of you think about what we read yesterday and already identify a way that she kind of persevered through rejection? You can all kind of think of that? Okay. So evidence like that, or maybe you might pick some evidence from the read aloud we're about to look at in just a minute, and you're going to want to pick out some evidence as a group after all these activities and kind of work on that. Put up some Post-its and share some of that evidence. Okay. The sponge activity we'll talk about later if there's time, what you'll do with that. This is a little picture sorting activity. And then homework, just to keep you remembering. Your book club discussions on Friday, so you're just going to want to make sure you're still annotating and getting ready for that. Okay? Questions for me? All right, so we'll go ahead and try let's have person 3 come up here and grab enough packets for their group. So just come up here and let me know how many people you have in your group. Beautiful. Let me know if I miscount. There we go. Make sure you put your name on it when you get it. Put your name on it. We'll go ahead and start taking a look at this. Do I have a volunteer who would like to start off the reading? Shannon, great. Nice and loud, please.
So the door opens. Temple was daydreaming one Sunday in chapel, a weekly feature of her life at Hampshire Country School. The minister droned on and on. The ceremonies were usually boring, but suddenly he caught Temple's attention when he rapped his knuckles sharply on the pulpit. Knock, the preacher said, and he will answer. I am the door. By me, if any man enter, and he shall be saved. Before each of you is a door opening to heaven. Open it and be saved.
Awesome.
The minister was quoting the New Testament book of John, chapter 10, verse 9, in which the door is the symbol for the belief in Jesus. Temple doesn't think in words for ideas, because she thinks in pictures. She thought somewhere she would find a door leading to salvation. But where?
Elaine?
She began to look everywhere for the door that would save her. Was it a closet door, the stable door, the door to the main farmhouse? None of these felt right.
Chris?
Finally, she saw walking next to a dorm room after dinner. She saw a ladder leaning against the farm room where a small addition was being built. She climbed the ladder to the fourth floor. In the attic of the house, there it was. At the end of the new platform that extended out from the building was a small wooden door that opened onto it.
Stepping through the door onto the roof, Temple immediately felt flooded with relief and joy. The same joy, she says, that a cow or a horse feels when he has reached safety. For me, Temple wrote later. is similar to the way every animal surveys new territory to make sure it has safe escape routes and passages or crosses an open plain that may be full of predators. And when I spot an opening, I get a rush of happy excitement. It is like an anti-predator system deep in my brain is activated.
Elise?
But for Temple, finding that first door was especially momentous. Doors became important symbols for her, making her many difficult passages and giving her the courage to go forward into a new unknown territory.
Ashita?
Passing through the attic door to the roof and standing beneath a nighttime canopy of stars. Temple felt she had found the door to heaven. It gave her courage she never thought she'd find. That night she wrote in her diary, I must conquer my fears and not let them block my way.
The door gave Temple a way to think about her life after high school. Because I think in pictures, she explained, I had to relate something in the future back to something concrete, something current. No picture, no thought. Now Temple could picture her future and envision the steps she would need to take to attain it.
Okay, good. I'm going to pause it for just a second. A previous reading on Temple Grandin kind of went into why she thought in pictures. Does anybody remember what it was stated in the text about her thinking in pictures? Why did she always think in pictures? Why was that easier for her to process information? Ashley?
I think it helped her remember the definition. She said if she used the picture of bird, because it meant peace.
Good. She remembered symbols especially. Okay, a little bit was due to her disability, which was? Autism. Okay, which caused her to do what? What are some typical characteristics of autism?
One was overstimulation, but when she was doing the pledge, she said that she thought in pictures because it was easier for her, but she also didn't understand it because some of the words weren't clear enough. And in the bell rang, she said that it hurt her ears more than the other students.
One specific piece of text that I know stood out to me was when they said amen at the end of the prayer. And what did she think that meant? What did she refer to it? Man. Yeah, she was like, what is a man doing at the end of the prayer? She had no idea what that word even meant because it was abstract to her. So those concepts were difficult. So things that she could see in pictures, she understood. So kind of like the dove representing peace, as it was mentioned. So that's good. Good. Do I have someone who would like to continue reading? Mariah, go ahead.
She passed through her special door many times in high school. Whenever she needed confidence and renewal, when she went to college, she found secret doors there too. In a usually locked utility closet at her dorm, she found an 8-rung metal ladder that led to a hatchway, opening onto the door's flat roof. There she could see a wonderful view of the Franklin Pierce canopy beyond. When she looked north, she could see Mount Monadnock. Its name in the Native American Abenaki language means the mountain that stands alone. The mountain was sort of like Temple herself. It stood out a peak unlike its own.
Larry, want to wrap it up?
No secret door she found led to the flag brick roof of the college level. After her graduation ceremony, Temple passed through the edge one last time. There on the Liberty roof, she left a little plaque inscribed with the words Saxon, Atrium, and Culm. Her attempt at translating into Latin her new motto, strive for the threshold of the top.
Taking a look, thank you for reading, all of you. Strive for the threshold of the top. What do you think that means? And we've talked about how narratives, we've looked at different narrative writing. We've talked about how sometimes some of that main meaning, that reflection is at the end. Her new motto was strive for the threshold of the top. What was that telling her to do? Tom?
Always try to do your best.
Yeah, always try to do your best, because what benefits might you have from that?
Get someone better than if you didn't try your best.
Yeah, I mean, it's definitely better than not trying your best. Gives you kind of that personal satisfaction to know you did all you could do. Good, Ross?
Pays off in the end.
pays off in the end? I'm sure some of you are speaking from personal experience. Okay.
Showing that that you can go above and beyond and seeing more effort that you take if you go above and beyond.
Good, good. Okay, that was a great job. Before we do our fan and pick discussion, since the focus again is to use text evidence to support your answers today, I have the fan and pick questions up here for you, so you kind of get a glimpse of what you're going to share. Because these are questions that you might not be able to answer right off the top of your head today. So I wanted to give you a few minutes to just skim through this article, okay, and make any annotations you need to that involve those 6 questions. So taking a look at what they say up there, what does the door symbolize for Temple? So what does it mean to her? Wherever you find that in the text, you might want to take note of that. What words or phrases are associated with the door? So what does the door mean to her? Does it have a positive connotation, negative connotation? I've got a quote there for number 3. It says, for me, finding holes and gaps is similar to a way a wary animal surveys new territory to make sure it has safe escape routes and passages. So taking a look at that specific quote, what does that show about how she feels with the challenges she's facing? Okay. How does Temple compare herself to a mountain? And what the title means. We talked about how sometimes title shows theme and what we're learning, okay, what someone's trying to say, an author's purpose. So look at that title, When a Door Opens. How does that symbolize something for her and show the theme or the message from her perspective here? And then what would a closed door mean to her? There might be some light bulbs if you're thinking back to yesterday's article about someone standing in her way and blocking her door and how she reacted to that. Okay. So I'm going to give you kind of 5 minutes to just, let's do 6 or 8 minutes, 6, 8 minutes. I'll kind of reassess and see where you guys are at after 6 minutes and see if you need more time. To just kind of take some notes based off some of those questions so you feel prepared for the fan and pick discussion, okay? Let me know or let Ms. Cassidy know if you have any questions while we're kind of walking around. What makes you think that? So you're seeing that connection? Yeah. Typically, I probably would have had you guys read this first, but I kind of wanted you to get the story and then go back and see what at the door that symbolism for the door is so important. So I'm glad you picked up on that. Okay.
Let's just pop this in. You just want to
You guys are really doing a good job with your annotations, and I know this is kind of hard because usually you've been told to annotate for maybe 1 or 2 main reasons, and you just had 6 questions to annotate for, okay? I hope it was a little easier to kind of read through it the first time without having to look at that and then having that focus, because I think a lot of you were immediately able to kind of go back into the text and find where all those things were mentioned or discussed. So that looks like you were doing a good job. I know as I was walking around, Sarah Marie was talking about how she has the temple grandin video. Did you want to share a little background on what you were telling me?
Well, it pretty much shows how she climbs up to the 4th floor of this, like, treehouse type thing. And she was really, really excited to walk through the door. So,
Good. Yeah, I mean, that's good to have that visual. So she said she might bring that in and we can maybe take a look at that. So I think that'd be very powerful for you guys to see. How something so simple to us, like walking through a door, might mean absolutely nothing. Just like walking out of this room might mean nothing too, right? But you don't have that symbolism of the door being this whole huge experience, and she does. So you're going to talk more about that with your discussions. But did anybody have questions on anything that was up there? Okay. So we're going to mix up just a little bit. I'm going to have a few people go back there, and I will pull those people out in just a second. Can I have person, I believe I put person 4, go ahead and grab your bins over there, your materials bins for your group, and then, bring it. Alright, if you open up your box of materials, you should see a couple things in there. The only thing you need right now, and then you can close it back up, so I know the other things could be a little distracting, is the long envelope where on the bottom it says the no girls allowed in the bottom corner. Okay. Inside that envelope you should have a couple purple cutout squares. Everyone see what I'm talking about? Okay, you can go ahead and take those out. Okay. We've done fan and pick before, but I figure we'll go through the directions of just what the process looks like again before getting started. Some of you might have groups of 3 right now, so just modify this slightly. All of you will still participate. You'll all have a specific role, okay? But role 1, and we can just make it easy and start with person 1, which would be which person? Raise your hand in your group. You are person 1. Perfect. Okay. You're going to go ahead and kind of fan out the cards. Okay. Be enthusiastic about it. If you're like, here, pick a card. No one's going to be very excited about that. Okay. So go ahead and fan them out. Pick a card, any card. Person 2 is going to go ahead and pick the card and read it out loud. So in this group, this is going to be my example group. And we have a group of 3, so we'll show you how we can modify this. So in that group, that would be Danny. Okay, so Danny's going to read it out loud. Now, we don't have a role 3. So who automatically is he going to be asking that question to? Jacob. Okay, Jacob's going to probably need some time, maybe to look in the text, maybe to see what his annotation said, or just to reread a couple things, take a few seconds to gather himself before he answers that question. Okay, and he's going to respond to the group. Now, since we don't have the full 4 roles, person 1 is going to kind of be active again here. And Jack's, besides, Danny's going to want to listen too, but Jack's going to maybe really pay attention to what it is that Jacob's saying. So he can either compliment, something that he pointed out that was a really good response, or maybe he hears something that Jacob says and he agrees with it, but he has some other ideas as well. Jack, as the reflector kind of here, in that reflective mode, could just say, I understood what you said, but I actually think this might be kind of what that means as well. So he can contribute his own thoughts to kind of back up what Jacob is saying. Okay? And then you'll switch roles. So who will be fanning out the cards the next time in this group? Danny. Okay? And you just keep going through the process. So there's only about 6 cards. I'm guessing that this should take maybe 5 to 10 minutes. Okay, I'll kind of gauge where the class is at, and we'll kind of talk about when it's time to stop. But go through all the questions as much as you can. And if you finish early, just questions that maybe you didn't get to answer, and other people did have to answer that question, maybe you can chime in and share your thoughts as well. Okay? Any questions on that? Okay. Go ahead and get started.
How does Temple compare herself to a mountain in the text?
I normally stand out
If not, I can get on.
because like a mountain is very obvious and you can really see it. And compared to other people, it's very obvious. Like everyone is different. So that's why it stands out. She didn't stand on the building or something like that.
Just to add on, they said like Temple was down, so they were like they got equal.
He said like, she wants to be official. She wants to be a part of any part of
According to the text, the door symbolizes like it symbolizes like an opportunity for you know,
Here, something different.
yeah,
Gives her confidence.
Yeah, I highlighted a couple words and then at the side of them I put like opportunities. I highlighted remote
Now be
and one more time unknown territory and salvation.
Because I'm visual too, I need to kind of see it.
Like when you put them in the door that way, like it means like something
How does the title "When a Door Opens" demonstrate the center of the other person?
How does your day differ from that person?
Because when a door opens, it's basically her salvation. Where is the card that's giving to her when she opens the door?
And what does that
Like
mean?
her new life.
I'm gonna say like pretty much every question, but I really like this question because I thought this was very clear. Like when you know how one door closes, another one opens. So each door for her contains a different experience.
I don't know the Mount driving, but she like has a worship, like she's got it for the whole time. She's like really happy and like she feels like safe.
Alright. The text says, finding holes and gaps and sending it to the way of where animals new territories to make sure everyone's safe to escape from the I think this demonstrates about the
Last page, it says,
Oh, the long foot one?
that one, I said that
That's okay. Talk through it because your new members may be able to help you. So it is a tough one.
I get a rush
Oh, now I remember. Like for the challenges, I got it fresh because she had a hard time looking at it. She had no leads and she felt lost. So she had a challenge like finding the door she was looking for. Like, to her there was a specific door that gave her such
And the way it well, it kind of connects to what we read yesterday in the first read, the whole animal surveying new territory. If an animal's kind of looking through new territory, what does that mean? How would you feel? Not that we're animals, but imagine like an animal in a new place. What would you be? What emotions would you have? Scared.
You feel like
Cautious. Anxious. Right. This is true. This is true because it's unknown. Like that whole element of it being unknown is something that can make it pretty scary. So she compares herself to that. You know, for me, finding holes and gaps is similar to kind of a weary animal surveying new territory to make sure it has escape routes and passages. If you're always looking for an escape route, what are you doing?
you always want to like get out of a situation.
She's like,
Yeah.
You're not comfortable.
it
She now blocked their way, so like the man from the door for the last one, saying that her fears was blocking the door.
Her fears were blocking the door. So when she had that, the man standing in front of the door, it was a literal kind of a block, but it was also kind of figurative in a way. Like what him physically standing there did what to her? Yeah, what were you saying?
She wasn't accepting.
Yeah, she felt like that was just another roadblock, literal roadblock for her. You know, and someone getting in her way trying to, you know, do something. Was that your last question?
Might seem kind of like she's like no chance. She might give up closed doors. Open doors makes her think there's an opportunity. So like closed doors might think
Unlike this around.
what words or phrases does Temple associate with the thing? What are like guys that are
And I like that you guys are going back in the text. If someone's saying something and you didn't fully catch that, you're thinking something, you're adding it. You're all done, you've commented. I think most people are at that point, so I'm probably going to give 30 seconds to wrap up the conversation.
That she felt like it was her own inspiration that no one could really get from her. Yeah. Another perspective is something like, I mean, could do a physical story,
Looks like most groups are done. So here's what I'm going to have you do. Don't worry about having the cards back in order, right? You can go ahead and kind of paper clip them back together, put them in the envelope, and put them in your material box. Okay. You're going to need your material boxes later, so you can keep them closed for right now, but you don't have to put them away, because you'll need them again, okay? I heard a lot of great discussion, and honestly, the best part of that was you guys were very focused on that essential question for today, that essential piece of just going into the text and proving your answers. I really didn't hear anybody kind of just saying, well, I think this, and came up with something totally, crazy or illogical. It was very focused. You guys did a great job. Here's kind of where I'm going to kind of have you guys kind of go off on your own, not literally, but if you take a look at the board, I'm going to have you first skim the article that we did yesterday in class. So why don't you take out that No Girls Allowed? It was the kind of thicker, close read packet. Let me know if you can't find it. So I'm going to give you a few minutes to just skim through, look at your annotations, but I also want you to focus in case you did it yesterday, because yesterday's focus was get the main idea, figure out kind of the key facts of the article. If you had to give a summary of what was stated, what would you say? Okay, some of you did this yesterday, but here's a good focus for some of you who didn't look at this part yet. I want you to take a focus kind of with this lens as you look through it kind of a third time now. I want you to think about acceptance and rejection and where that's shown in this article. Because it's shown in multiple places, and some of you already started annotating for that. But in case you didn't, that's a good lens to kind of look at it this time around. After those 5 minutes, I'll go ahead and pass out your group focus questions. These are all very kind of text-based as well. You'll see in just a minute. You're going to work on this as a group, kind of assign roles. So you have a group discussion leader, you have a time manager, a note taker, and you have an encourager / postmaster. That's kind of a new role. Okay, so the postmaster is going to be responsible for, after you finish all of this, to kind of find that evidence to support the claim that we referenced at the very beginning of class over on that wall. Okay, kind of writing it down. You have Post-its in your bins. If you run out, let me know. I can grab some extra. Okay, so kind of do that as your kind of final task. And then the sorting activity, which are the pictures in the little baggies in your activity box, that'll be for if all of that is done at the end. And you can decide how you want to sort those pictures category-wise. I'm going to leave that for you to kind of figure out. Okay? So go ahead and take a few minutes skimming through No Girls Allowed. If there are questions, you have a few adults in the room that you can ask as far as what something might mean. But I'm going to give you some time to just re-skim through that article, refresh yourself, refresh your memory as far as what was in it, and look through and see if you find evidence of acceptance or rejection anywhere. Okay? That's what I asked for. Okay. That's okay. That's what she's doing now and everything. There should be. Yeah. Maybe some of that. Sure. alarm sounded, don't feel like you can't go back into the text and look up anything or annotate or highlight. You can keep doing that all period if you need to. But what I'm going to do at this time is I'm going to go ahead and pass out one sheet to each group. The time right now is 10:11. And knowing we get out at 10:42, I'm assuming you guys will have plenty of time to finish this task. So once you get your sheet, go ahead and assign the roles. Who's going to be the group discussion leader? Who's going to be the time manager? Maybe someone who has a good eye for the clock. Note taker. And who's going to be kind of the encourager and the postmaster for the post activity, okay? How many roles? There's 4. So if you guys have only 3 people, you could double up on one that you feel doesn't have as much responsibility. All right.
So, one question. Are you
So, Jake, are we supposed to
What do you mean? What is this? She really people still have her just because she was
So what was different about the central idea and the main idea? What did we talk about? It's like a synonym for essential idea. Okay, potentially it starts off with what the conflict is and thinking about what the author's what. Yeah, what is he trying to say? That message or that theme. Like if we were thinking in a fictional book, we'd be looking for the theme. The central idea would be in a non-fiction text, like the ones you've been reading. Yeah, no take it. It's all you, Carla.
even though some people respect her, others some are and she was so we can like claim, right?
It is sort of like the claim. In what way? Explain your thinking.
She like most people respected her and as an actual worker. Other people saw her as like someone who not so important. They did think that she could amount to.
How does it have to do with the word part for this week? I'm going to throw a curveball at you. And
I don't even know what she can amount to because
So one of the specific examples would be like
I'm just on fire.
yeah, we're working.
so all of you can be looking at the text regardless of the role. So when it comes to central idea, what do we talk about? How is central idea slightly different than main idea? Yeah, good. So what is the central idea of this? She's trying to help his business, or like, you know, and like, I mean, I think that's a message of all of us can relate to in some way. You don't have to write the exact response to each of these questions, but any specific quote, sentence, phrase that supports that statement back there is what you would write. So it doesn't have to be necessarily the answer to all things. You might be writing a lot then. And it would be kind of pointless to write the 2 things. There might be some things that So just like in an argument paper, if that were your point and I asked you to find evidence to support what you thought, what would be, and you could take it from girls allowed or even when it opens, you can take evidence from this as well.
Yeah, she was able to write something that was like really interesting because she was okay, so how do the option work? Do I contribute to this idea?
She said that like
Analyze the author's last photographs to enhance meaning of the subject. He didn't want us to get the wrong idea from the
I don't know. What about
You don't want to judge her based on her, what she looks like. How? Something goes like, people look at this way. You would have thought about that. Different women, if you judge her based on how she
like well, yeah, she would have to explain that. She would have to explain it, like
They use one picture, so that
Where does it show techniques like repetition, sequence of ideas, that Temple was strong and wasn't good at one of those things?
But trying to block the
perspective of the way how it how like with the it kind of gives you an idea of how she felt. So you didn't need to see a picture to know how she felt inside and how she looked like inside.
A message from an author is supposed to kind of
at the end of the text, where does it talk about like how she made mistakes?
accurate all about what is the author trying to show in this that we can apply in our own lives. So what would you say was the theme for ourselves?
Well, it does say right here.
Yeah, being strong, yeah, courageous in what you say,
Well, really,
and to help you with
Before that, they're all right.
knowledge on this.
Some of our specifications that were not
Okay. You can do some true to our concept if you
Brandon.
Is it first like
Brandon.
we didn't need a picture.
Can you grab her?
First no.
what is it? What is the author trying to tell us? Yeah, no, it's for multiple reasons. Why weren't there family the author? Yeah, I didn't want to just the first. I mean, it sounds very
How why was coming
we're learning more about she's rejected because she's a physical kind of waving money, but she's a beast in her.
It's not part of why she was rejected. Like, oh, maybe it was like a bonus. Maybe it's not that she was a woman. make them feel.
Because they said just men worked in like the yeah.
So like you said,
What do you think would be best for
right evidence. Like that's like what you're saying.
Okay, so what is? They didn't want a weird foreign leader on their territory.
There's a lot of questions that would be like from Europe. So you can write that down. She's a woman and she has a disability. Is that all for the one? She was upset. She did react, but she would show them the reaction.
So how does the title show this message for you?
Person how women were like weak. She didn't want them to be right. She didn't want them to be some ideas out there.
Yeah, it's hard to actually describe.
That born one was actually just suicide. It wasn't just her disability that they saw.
So the fact that we're just didn't respect her.
How they didn't respect her because of her gender and disability and the fact that she came to the US. And that maybe should find another topic because they'll just be saying the same This book shows us
Have a man said what he goes.
You can read it from here.
I read a lot.
Who do you say?
Well, she mourns like because she was, she was upset in that time. Well, not that much. So a little bit upset.
She wasn't upset. She was just upset about it.
Because she was from so like this is from what I had just for us to like this day.
or why she was accepted or how she felt.
Made a big mistake.
Your reference?
Analyze the active black. So analyze the active black text compared to the poem.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, is that
Why do you think the author may not have Well, was that the
Yeah,
point?
what was Rosa was trying to say, like, she could acknowledge this, I believe, in how her quotes, like, she says, we're going to find it.
And like you showed like that was like really important.
So what did she do? Another
Yeah.
She's like,
It's kind of hard.
I mean, that's gross. It's gross, you know, it's really.
Looking at the author's craft technique, did the author use so the subject?
She knows that the men are not accepted.
So you show that they don't win kind of thing. Good, so she gets in the car, what she did. She just turns on the windshield wipers and is like, hey, well, head now. It's okay, don't worry about it.
How did they compare to each other?
Yeah, she definitely stood up for herself. Kind of like a yeah, what's left over is her kind of that's her grip. But You can tell by the way.
So I'm
Our purposes are pumping. Gross imagery.
We should like get into all these how these kind of animal really wants to help someone for real life. Really talk it isn't trying to inform you, I guess it's to inform you of what they do. That is more
Same good as a cow or feel what they
yeah, tell me granted and what.
I know a lot of them are self to learn how to feel. Like you have a
Yeah, how she overcomes those challenges, those roadblocks.
why would she want to understand her feelings?
Being curious to shut up.
Why wouldn't she want to focus on that?
One of the questions it says first to what
Oh yeah, that was the one we did at the very beginning.
How does Temple handle rejection?
You do have that. It was our anchor text for this week. Once you see it, you'll remember. This one? Maybe yeah. Hey boys and girls, really quick, just to reference, some of you didn't recognize for question 4, it asks about the poem, what do we do with a variation? And I know this group was asking, we didn't remember if we had seen this. This was our anchor text for the unit that I told you we'll keep going back to. So if you need to pull this out to help you, that would obviously be a great thing to do considering what your essential focus is for today of pulling evidence. So you can take this out and use it to help you answer question 4, okay? If you need an extra copy to look at, let me know. If you can't find one.
I'll read it aloud.
We have one more text about
That's good. You're being very thorough.
Well, the guy from the blonde girl, all she did was like, she like go to the office and demand like, you know, a press pass. And all the so she could go everywhere.
She didn't just vote for their blocking. It has a way to make that
She found a way to like get around her. Yeah.
we don't do that.
No, we'll finish this fast.
Oh, really?
even like on the fire.
You are? Good. Means you did a great job with annotations because it makes it easier to kind of see and not have to reread everything. And
Should I bring in the metaphor of the
Text is really, it gets just a big, different word. If it's so strong, so I'm like, oh, I found that person like this, it's harder to I found that person like this instead.
kind of a view of that autistic mind instead of
Making us understand other than, when, having us understand. It's hard to explain, like, if through the text, she's trying to get herself to understand, it kind of makes us to, like, relive on what she's doing.
yeah, it's almost like she's kind of processing verbally things that are happening to her to help, like you said, to help her understand, but it also gives us kind of a picture of what she's thinking in her mind at the same time. It might not have a specific quote, but as long as you're kind of referencing your response based on text, that's okay. So it could be paraphrased, or it could be, you know, as long as you're referring to the text to find those answers, that's okay. That's a good question.
How long would she how she was showing how they were all year. She went to over and over
Good. I would ask you for like question 4, what do you do with variation? In that text, you have that text out still? Yeah. Okay. So what is like a synonym for variation? Change, sort of, difference, or like if I asked you, or told you there's a variety of candies in my drawer, besides you running over there to look and see what it is, you would think it means that there's different, a lot of different options, right? So James Barry, I would still have to do a couple more reads of this to really dig into it, because you've only done one read so far. But
How do we cope with the kids kind of people?
yeah, like, so what do we do with differences? Are we all the same in this classroom? I know. We all the same in this classroom? No, you can see how people are more reserved, people are more outgoing, and just based on that. And then that's just a personality trait. That's not everything about us. You know what I mean? Some people are morning people. Some people can stay up all night, So it's what do we do? Like, how do we handle differences? So I would think about what you wrote there, because that's a great response. I like that you use something in the text, but maybe explain it just a little bit more. Okay? And then I would say you guys are ready to kind of post some information up on the page. And then if we get around to the sorting activity, you guys will have a little time to do that.
Yeah. So
Okay, cool.
it says 2 or more specific
How we
How and why was Temple rejected?
Well,
Not everyone's a people.
Okay, so like, where do you think
She pretty much liked the whole day. She actually wasn't that sad. She didn't. Yeah, she was ready for it. Yeah, she like came back and did one
She
tried and tried to dance to feel acceptable.
Yeah, sure.
Just take a look. Just, now you have to do the, you probably all see that. Got one.
Oh, that's
Maybe we could use one about the railroad allowing one way door open.
So, I was talking to what is variation? The title is what do we do with glass or bigger scale society. How do colorize them maybe see yeah, so she's got a coding scale. Yes. So just kind of taking a look at what is the passage kind of shows how those that's okay.
No,
Are you okay? Oh, you want to guys know about that too. Go ahead and do the post-its. So sort of might not have time fully for that, that's okay.
saying to
So with that.
What does she do if you like
Initially had one, so even though it's just one word, I don't want to make it just a job. To obviously do all of the things again. I don't know when she's okay, more you share with each other, I think the better you guys And then what is morose? Yes, sad. Oh, is she sad? Person, no, she's got some sass, so that's what she do. Those things she wanted. And what's an example?
Yeah. She tries to gain acceptance
Well, you already talked about what the door symbolizes, right? What did you guys say?
Yeah, is that a
We're way too much down.
You would? Because maybe it's right. Does that show her sad? Does that show her yeah, and I'm saying, so she's truly being morose. No, she's not. So those are
Just ignores what you were saying.
I'll collect them for you guys. Don't worry, guys.
I must conquer my
So you're telling me she ignored that. She just ignored that. Ready? So can you find somewhere in there that shows me?
Okay, so I'm saying that like in the text when it's talking about
Remember when she was standing in the blood?
she just like wiped it off. She blocked her.
Oh, when it was on her car?
Like she just like it was nothing.
Okay. She just drove on. That reminds me of one of these words in the plane. So you put up an example of when they put all those guts on her car.
I do like the crack. We work with people not to trespass.
How about you? What do you think? How do you think and she would objection?
Like, stop her and take away
Alright, I said this shows that she found her weakness and said for people to accept her.
So imagine one standing there, doesn't want girls to what is it? Physically, what? Locking the door. Bell rings, time for you to go. Locking the door. Besides thinking about
Do you remember who was impressed by her?
what she doing, and you would feel like
We can do it tomorrow.
knowing that her disabilities is socializing is not yeah, so I
think your case goes number 4.
How does that actually
They are kind of all those through that point of God is every that doors. They are
So she definitely was accepted by some. You're right, the manager and some of the admin. This question is going to refer to the leadership. Stick with your notes on rejection and how she dealt.
okay, really quick, 3, 2, 1. I'm gonna wait for eyes up here so I make sure that the few directions I give, everyone hears it. We're all on the same page. Okay. Couple things. I know there are a few groups that still need to finish or tweak a couple things. If you're in the middle of writing a post-it evidence that you want to go ahead and finish up and put up there, that's fine. Make sure the rest of the post-its or any materials you borrowed from the bins get back in there. Your blue sheets, whether you have finished or not, I would like person 1 bring me the blue sheets, person 4 can put the materials bin back, and you can go ahead and start to pack up and wait in your seat until the bell rings, okay? Thanks.
I got this from David. Yeah, okay.